You have reached the Geek Elite. Good luck.
Do you like comic book movies, particularly Marvel films? Because if you do, hi, my name's Ian. I hang out with Mitch. We take a journey into mystery every single Wednesday. You can watch us live. You can listen to us later in the car when you're by yourself and you don't want to tell people you listen to podcasts about Marvel movies. That's fine. No judgment. But we're here for you. We watched all the MCU. Now we're going through all the old ones. So buckle in. Mitch is going to take us there. Boom. That's your ad right there.
I shouldn't have said my social security number.
Listen, I mean, only so many people are going to have 3 6s in a row.
Welcome back for another shift on the Geeks Watch. We are here and we're talking about Sweet Tooth Season 1, Episode 7.
Bam, 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 bam.
When Pubba met Birdie. Was anybody else expecting a flashback episode?
No.
But
I mean,
helpful.
I'm guessing John accidentally saw forward and knew that it was going to be a flashback episode.
Well, I knew that Birdie was going to be in it because I saw the credits and I was like, oh, okay. But I didn't realize in what version, if it was going to be flashback or present time or flash forward or whatever. So.
Well, yep, we definitely got some backstory to our young Gus. So we will get to that after we talk about our week's watch. But first, Steven has a role to do.
I am not good at this. I do not recall that this is a thing I have to do yet. All right. So today I am joined by the bass toting heartthrob of Yuma, Arizona, John.
Hi, everybody.
Okay, there it is.
I got really caught in there thinking, like, do I say axe? No, I won't say axe. And then the legal lady, Elizabeth.
Hi.
And then the masticating Mitch.
Hi.
What a descriptor.
You know, when you said bass, I really thought you were just talking about the bass in John's voice. I didn't, and then when you said axe, I was like, "What is he talking about? An axe?"
Oh no! I could have said bass wielding, like for voice for you, and I regret this.
See, I thought you were going to refer to like the level of my pH balance or something.
Honestly, I thought he was starting it off with just saying that I was basic. Like,
I would never. I really have to remember this is going to happen and then put work into it.
I mean, I do like Uggs and Starbucks though, so is that still a relevant joke?
Oh yeah, no, this works.
It still works. Although I'm trying to picture you in Uggs, and that just doesn't work.
I really hope, Steven, one of these days you work it into a Funk Master Flash style rap.
I can't promise that. But you gave me ideas, though.
Steven can bring in Funk Master Flash and just have him do the...
Oh, that'd be even better.
I'm going to drop $150 on Cameo.
You can definitely outsource this, Steven. I'm behind this.
I think I'm going to do it.
All right. After that great funness, we're going to get into our week's watch. So, Elizabeth, what did you watch this week?
So, as usual, I am way behind the curve because I don't tend to watch new things as they come out. I wait till I get annoyed with ads or people telling me I'm supposed to have watched something, and then I just kind of go on a binge spree. So, yesterday, by sheer happenstance, I ended up starting to watch Killing Eve, and I got through 4 episodes last night.
5
episodes last night. And it's fantastic. And everybody who's been telling me for a solid couple of years that I need to go watch it, you were correct.
is originally a BBC show. Eventually became a BBC and not Amazon, but AMC show.
And I have no idea what streaming service I was watching it on.
Hulu.
Hulu. Okay, I was gonna say because you had it open to something and I saw it and hit play.
Speaking of never watching things that are new, it's because you were watching Golden Girls on Hulu.
Oh, that's right.
And then I said, "What are you gonna do for your week's watch?" And you're like, "I don't know." So then we found something.
Yep. And then I just kind of binged it. I kind of figured I'd watch like one episode of it, decide that it was too intense for me, and turn it off. But it really hooked me. It really hooked me. Sandra Oh does a fantastic job as Eve Polastri, the main character. I assume everybody else here has watched it. I assume it's just me that's...
I'm pretty sure nobody here else has watched
I
it.
have no idea what you guys are talking about.
I have not.
Okay, has anybody else heard of it? Because it
Yes.
for years it's popped up on my Facebook feed.
It's won a lot of prime time Emmys.
Okay.
Indeed. Yeah, and we talked about it last week.
Well, we kind of talked
Or
about
week
it.
before.
I know it was the week before when Jessica was talking about watching The Chair, which also stars.
That was me, sir.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Stephen was the one who said Jessica and I both needed to watch The Chair.
I thought. Oh, okay. Sorry. Well, then, yes, we talked about it a little bit when you brought up The Chair.
Yeah.
Which is a good season, by the way.
Good.
Well, she will get to that in 3 years. So,
I mean, yeah. That's about on track.
I mean, it's Killing Eve came out in 2018, and she's now starting it.
Wait till it's in syndication.
That's fair.
No. Wait till I get to have the answers, because shows like this, when I have to wait for them to come out week by week, drive me insane.
Which is why we are not going to end up watching the show that Steven's going to talk about in about 3 minutes.
It's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, the first 3 are there.
I mean, I manage. I manage with Ted Lasso. I manage.
Yes, you do.
It just kills me in the process, so I can't do too many at one time. I'm a very purposeful. I have to watch and go through one whole thing and then move on. But in any case, Sandra Oh plays Eve Polastri, who is an MI5 security personnel, but she proves to have a knack for connecting all of the dots, and she ends up juxtaposed to a brand new assassin on the field. Not brand new, but newly discovered. And they end up going tete-a-tete. So, it's on Hulu. It's fantastic. Everybody who's been hearing about going to watch it should go watch it. I think it's wonderful. All right.
So the creator of the show is Phoebe Waller-Bridge. If anybody else has watched Fleabag, I've watched the 2 seasons. That is amazing. John would definitely remember her as Ellie, L5. Lando's computer.
Oh,
yes.
L7.
L7. Really? L7?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The Millennium Falcon.
Yes. So, yes, she was the voice of L7, and I think she is going to be in something or write something for Marvel here soon.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
She's on like a meteoric trajectory right now.
Yeah.
Which is a weird term that we use because meteors come down, but whatever.
But they come down from really high.
It's more comet-like.
Yeah, it just keeps going.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Killing Eve. Steven, what did you watch this week?
So before I say what I watched this week, I want to issue a correction. In the past, I had talked about us watching the series for Blind Spotting, and while watching Blind Spotting, we kind of saw like an article or this or that kind of thing, looking up some additional information that sent us off in a very weird mental space where we just filled in things. And I had thought that the TV series was like lengthening, like a deeper dive into the story of the film. The film is what happens before the TV series.
Okay.
And now I know that because we went and we watched that original movie now. Also fantastic. So I still highly recommend that. But I just had to make sure that anyone out there who might have been frustrated by me saying a thing that was wildly incorrect, I know now.
I mean, not wildly incorrect.
It was pretty bad. It was pretty wrong. But
I'm sure the two things still revolve around the same storyline, story plot.
oh, absolutely. Yeah. The character from the first one, like Divvy Diggs' character in that one, we've heard his voice throughout the TV series. And so it seems like he'll be in season 2, his character from the film. It's
Gotcha.
pretty interesting. But yeah, the thing that I watched this week that I wanted to talk about was a thing that Naima and I got in at a very timely point. Like basically when they got released, we sat down and watched it.
Right.
Wow.
It was very odd. That does not happen often. But we watched I watched the first episode. Naima watched through all of the episodes that were currently available because they dropped 3 all at once for the series Only Murders in the Building.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I keep seeing ads for that. Yeah.
It's very good. It's very, very good. The series stars Steve Martin and Martin Short. So Steve Martin Short and Selena Gomez of all people in this comedy drama series that's it's scripted very well. Anyone who's a fan of any dialogue like that's featured in like The West Wing and stuff, this has that swing while not being that pacing. Like the same kind of like setup, like someone tees up something, the other person will hit it out the park in a very good way at times. I enjoyed it very much. They also do a thing where there's so much more going on under the surface in a series that is the A plot of it is right there. But there's so many things in the B plots that I don't know if they would have needed to do, but the series is made much more rich for that. The whole thing for it is that there are these 3 people who all live in the same very exorbitantly nice building, and Steve Martin and Martin Short both got their apartments in this very nice building in New York for like back in the 80s or earlier when it would have been much less expensive, and now obviously these are multi-million-dollar apartments. So they're in there, and Selena Gomez is in there for whatever reason we clearly find out, but I'm not going to tell you. Yeah. She's in one of these apartments as well because there's no way that a person of her age would have been able to afford them by being like a normal person or anything. So there's a little bit of a mystery there. I don't want to give away too much, but as a person who listens to podcasts, you listener, and for us who listen to podcasts and make podcasts, I think there's an added element of interest in it because that is featured in there in certain ways.
Wow.
So,
that's a very high recommendation there.
yeah, and it's more than I usually talk about a week's watch, I think, too. So I hope that gives away how much I enjoyed it.
Do you know how many episodes it's going to be in the first season?
Looks like it'll be 8.
8. Okay.
Yeah. And so there's 3 of those out, and then it'll be weekly after that.
So in 5 weeks, we can watch it.
you think that you're going to be okay when they leave the first season at a cliffhanger?
Valid.
I don't know if there's anything after that first season. Like, I don't know if there will be a second
in 5
season.
weeks if we can watch it.
Okay.
I think you should watch it already, personally. But yeah, it's very good. I can't recommend it more highly right now.
All right. Only Murders in the Building is on. Is it
Hulu,
on? Is it only on Hulu or was it on FX on Hulu?
Couldn't tell you.
I think it's only on Hulu. That's why they dropped 3 episodes. But
that would make sense.
there you go on Hulu. John, what did you watch this week?
So I'm keeping.
sorry. 10 episodes. It says the latest one they have a release date for is the 8th, but it's 10 episodes.
Okay.
Fuck me.
Well, all right.
Go ahead, John.
Okay. I watched What If, episode 4. What if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands?
Okay, so Steven, have you watched this yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Did Stephen Strange have a heart to begin with? Because I didn't think he did.
He did, and you see more reason why what they're talking about in the episode. Now you were 2 episodes behind, Elizabeth, so I'm guessing you don't really care about
Oh,
spoilers.
no, I don't care.
So John, you can go ahead and spoil it, and anybody that does not want to can go ahead and skip forward to my week's watch, which will
Will there be
in-
time codes for this?
There are every week.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so then if we're not holding back on spoilers, this was a what if situation where instead of Stephen Strange crashing the car by himself, he had Christine Palmer with him, and she died instead.
Mm-hmm.
So, in other words, his heart was his love, and the trajectory is pretty similar, in which now instead of focusing on trying to fix his hands, he's trying to learn the arcane arts to figure out a way to bring Christine back to life. And so, yeah, this one takes a pretty interesting and very, very dark tone. While the last one had the murder mystery, there was still a little bit of I want to say some lightheartedness to it. I mean, they were making some really interesting commentary about Thor smelling like lavender, which is
Was it? Yeah, it was lavender, wasn't it? Yeah.
yeah, and the scene ends with Coulson taking another deep sniff, and then it cuts to something else. So I was like, okay, and then it ends with Loki basically helping to stop the person that's murdering all of the Avengers, and then realizing hey, you guys are basically undefended now. I'm your ruler. So he was now the de facto ruler of Asgard as well, and took over Earth. But I like how he did it. He didn't do it by trying to, open a sky portal and have the Chitauri army, start destroying the city. He just basically rolls up to the UN and says, "Hey, I'm in charge now." So I liked his more diplomatic approach. This one did not have lightheartedness. This one goes dark. And it goes very nihilistic. But I like that about this episode, surprisingly, because it really is a good what if situation. Because you don't always want to see a what if where things are oh, hey, T'Challa would have been Star-Lord and everything would have been so much better. That can get kind of boring. It's also good to see how shit can go really, really wrong. And that happens with this Doctor Strange episode, where he basically starts amassing just more and more power, and then he starts to become essentially like a warlock, because he starts absorbing the magic of other beings to become more powerful. And then the plot twist was that the Ancient One, which I wanted to make a point now that I remember, this is the first What If episode that I believe uses all of the original cast for the main characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Everyone comes back to reprise their roles here. And yeah, it's really interesting to see what a fully powered up and unhinged Doctor Strange would be capable of. Basically destroy the whole universe. So yeah, he basically tries to find all these different sources of power to get himself enough energy to be able to turn back time. I made a joke about this in our group chat, saying that if you guys are fans of the Guy Pearce time travel or a time machine movie, you might get a kick out of the plot point in this one, which is that he keeps going back in time to save Christine, but she keeps dying a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out it's because her death is a fixed point in time, very Whovian reference there. And to undo it would basically be to undo reality. And he says, no, there has to be a way. So he does that. So the Ancient One splits the timeline so that there's a good version of Doctor Strange and this one that's become corrupted, to put them against each other. But evil Doctor Strange wins, absorbs his split version of himself, gains all the power he needs, brings back Christine, destroys reality, and basically brings her back just long enough for her to see the monster that he's become. But my favorite little bit about all of this is that he becomes powerful enough that he can see the Watcher.
Mm-hmm.
And he asks the Watcher for help, and the Watcher actually kind of breaks his own rule and actually speaks to him and says, no, like, this is your fault. This is what you get. And kind of goes away, and Doctor Strange is left alone in this little crystal bubble universe where it's basically just him. And I think we're led to assume that that crystal becomes a new Infinity Gem, but I'm not sure, because from what I understood in Guardians of the Galaxy, all of the Infinity Gems were leftovers of previous universes. So I was like, oh, maybe this became a new Infinity Gem, and like this is the kind of shit it takes to make one.
Could be. But then we learned in Loki that Infinity Gems from other timelines don't matter.
Well, in the TVA, yes.
Outside of time. Yeah, outside of time.
So this could be, I mean, that would beg the question then, if the Infinity Gems from our universe are leftover remains of other universes, then obviously they still have power. They just, have
Could
to
be.
be found and harnessed, I guess. But yeah, I mean, that's just comic book, canon BS that we could just debate forever. And there's no right answer unless we talk to one writer, and another writer might have a different answer. So it's just fun. Let's not take it too seriously. And that was pretty much it. That was kind of the only thing I really watched, but it was a really, like I said, really dark, depressing episode, but that also made it really good. Also had probably my favorite animation so far, because it was very fast-paced.
I disagree.
Really?
They did a lot of close-ups on Steven's face, and it was rough.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Same
I guess the
animation,
likeness.
No, I know, but they haven't done the close-ups that much.
Oh.
Yeah, and it shows kind of the weakest parts of a mixed 2D style onto 3D animation. I think it was done a disservice in this by some of the shots.
Okay. Well, I wasn't paying too much attention to the face close-ups, but you're right. There was quite a few more in this one, because I guess they were trying to convey the emotion of the character, which I do have to say, they definitely had a lot more pathos in this one episode than they did in the entire Doctor Strange movie. I don't know why that is exactly, but it definitely came off more that way. But yeah, I mean, this was a very interesting, very dark What If episode, which is kind of what I feel the original version of What If was supposed to be, or those Tales to Astonish, where it was like that one-off story that can just go like to places that you don't have to worry about the continuity because it's a one-off. But it was pretty well done. Only thing I didn't like is that it didn't show you anything about the rest of the Marvel universe. It was very Strange-centric. So, like, you don't know how the other characters in this particular version of the universe dealt with what was happening.
It probably got spooked a whole lot, looked around and saw other people getting, like, goo dusted.
I guess so. Also,
that's all it looked like.
lawn gnomes are canon in the Marvel universe, apparently.
Yes, they are. Yeah, they are.
So I do have to say I really liked the design on Strange's new cape, like the one that he got from the Beetle. I thought that was pretty cool.
That was cool.
I thought it was interesting that we had a callback within this series, because the first monster that he calls into this portal thing that he tried to absorb is it seems to me like the callback to the first episode with Agent or Captain Carter.
It was Sir Tentacles.
Sure.
And honestly, they showed that thing, and I think we've seen that kind of thing before in Marvel Comics. I think at least a couple times. Every time I see it, I just think of the first Hellboy movie.
Oh yeah, I actually thought a lot about the first Hellboy movie with the Agent Carter or Captain Carter episode also, because it ends in the castle. The Rasputin stand-in was opening a portal in which tentacles come out, kill him, and Captain Carter fights off the monster with a sword that she found at the castle, much like the first Hellboy movie. So I dug all of that. I love these Lovecraftian tropes.
I love that Hellboy movie so much.
It's so good.
So, and then the last thing that I was wondering, in just thinking from the promos for this series, where you saw a certain team doing the same thing that our original Avengers were doing in their first movie, makes me think that, everybody's going to come together in like maybe the last episode of this season to fight off something. But you would have to bring together things that were variants, so to speak, from the timelines. So the last episode would be the first episode would be Captain Carter. The second episode would be T'Challa, Star-Lord. And then third episode, I guess, would be Hank Pym Crazy.
No, for that one, I think it would be no, because they mention in that one they have Captain Marvel and they found Frozen Cap at the end of it. So
yeah, but those aren't variants. Like those, they are still the essentially the same.
No, but that whole universe is a variant. So technically, all of those characters, even if they're not the different ones, are still variants of our cinematic universe.
Yeah, because Steve would have come out earlier.
Or no, later, probably.
Well,
later?
It all happens in that week, according to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
That's true. I've never really paid attention to the timeline. I didn't realize that Thor was happening almost concurrently with Iron Man 2.
And Incredible Hulk. Yeah, it's all happening about the same time.
But to your point, though, I suspect, I don't know this for sure, but this just seems like the kind of thing that they would do. The Watcher keeps insisting so much with the whole, I will not intervene or something like that. He's gonna, at some point, he's like, I have to intervene. And he might be the one that brings together all these alternate universe characters for like one big team up.
Well, I mean, they have to introduce the idea of the Watcher if they want to go with the... No, that's comic book spoilers for the movie stuff if they hold to it. Never mind.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil anyone for stuff.
Owatsu's never really been a good Watcher. That's all I have to say about that. All right. So What If episode 4 is on Disney Plus. This week I watched, I've been watching, they've put out 3 episodes so far on Stars, a new show called Heels, starring Stephen Amell. And I don't know if I'm liking it. Like, there's a lot of good potential there. There's a lot of, and maybe it's because I just hyped it up too much in my head, like thinking that it was going to be pretty great. If anybody watched Arrow when it was on, and followed Stephen Amell around, like, that he's a big fan of professional wrestling, to the point where he even got involved with WWE while filming Arrow, and he's very close friends with Stardust. Yeah, Cody Rhodes. I think it's Cody Rhodes. To the point where Cody Rhodes showed up on Arrow also. But I assume he got this idea of starting this show where they are a hometown kind of wrestling league where everybody in the town kind of comes to the show and watches. And it's a family thing. It was passed down from his dad to him. But he also has a little brother. And the show very much becomes about the little brother, which is played by Alexander Ludwig, I believe is the actor's name. If you don't know his name, you know his face. Yeah, Alexander Ludwig. He's been in a lot of things. He was in the first Hunger Games, I believe. So he is basically the golden boy of the league. He is very much a face. And the funny thing is that they talk about this a lot. They talk about the behind the scenes stuff of wrestling in the show, like how a lot of it is scripted. The hits are real, the falls are real, but it's all it's stagecraft. It's all scripted and stuff like that. And he's a face, where his brother Stephen Amell, who writes all the scripts, is a heel, and he loves being a heel. But the thing is that like they have to keep up that persona so much while walking around town, because the town is so involved with the show. But the brother's not really a good guy in real life. Like, he's got a temper. He's very spoiled. Like, it's just not really good. And the show I feel like it becomes way too much about him. and how he doesn't really understand the business, but he wants the fame. And we're 3 episodes in, and he's just now kind of realizing that something that happened in the first episode is not he's not able to come back from, so he has to change up the way he does things, and he's not happy about it. It's only 8 episodes long, so I think that this show might have suffered from being a show that they were creating during pandemic. I think their pacing of the storyline is for a much longer series, a much longer season, but there's only 8 episodes, so I feel like it's going to end very abruptly, and the hopes is that they're going to get a second season. I don't believe I've seen anything saying that they've already gotten that second season, but I think the hopes is very much that way. So I don't know if I'm going to be happy at the end of the first season.
I got you. I don't know. It's weird. He seems like he's had some stuff where he's popped up in the social media news recently.
Stephen
right?
Amell?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Is he? Should I not be watching his show?
No. He said he was like drunk on a plane and got in an argument or whatever with his wife and got kicked off the plane. I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, a little while ago. So now he's going around like saying sorry and saying I was drunk. That it wasn't even a thing between him and his wife. But I mean, that might be like talking about his like past issue or whatever. I guess however you would term that kind of thing. Might be in the process of courting that second season.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
No, I had missed that. So that's interesting. Like I said, I don't know if I like it yet. Usually by 3rd episode, I want to have an opinion. And I feel like I might be holding on to watching the show just because I enjoyed Stephen Amell as Arrow. And I also had a history with professional wrestling, even though I don't watch it anymore. So I will make it to the end of the first season and report back.
Okay.
That is all I watched this week. So let's go ahead and get to Sweet Tooth, episode 7, when Pubba met Birdie. And that's essentially what the title entails. It is the story of how Pubba met Birdie.
It could have also just been called the entirety of Pubba and Birdie's time together.
Yeah.
Really could have. Which also makes me wonder, like, how did he get that picture of her at Red Rock? Like,
He took the picture.
did he take it there? Like, when he picked it up, I thought he put it back down.
Well, she took it from him. My guess is he took it back.
So that's kind of creepy.
Yes.
Maybe he had gone to I kind of like
Mitch, if you've never stolen a girl's picture without her knowledge, then you've never truly liked somebody.
I've never liked somebody.
John, that is not acceptable.
I've never liked somebody. John,
That is very not acceptable and very creepy.
So we come to learn that Pubba's real name is Richard Fox.
Is that not the name of Morgan Freeman in the Batman movies?
That's Lucius Fox.
Okay, thank you. The whole time, every time you said his name, I was like, Morgan Freeman.
And Birdie's actual name is Gertrude. She is a scientist, a geneticist that works at Fort Smith Labs. Pubba is a janitor who works at Fort Smith Labs. However, the questions that he was asking at the bar makes me think that he was more than just a janitor. And I honestly thought that he might have been like a corporate spy.
I was thinking.
Well, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, you first.
The explanation given is that basically he's the standard. I've got the brains to do it all, but I just don't have the drive to do anything. So I ended up as a janitor.
Mm-hmm. That's the explanation, but I don't know. It seemed more, but it definitely doesn't mean it has to be more.
Mitch, I live that life, so it's very realistic.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not realistic. I'm just saying in terms of storytelling and story writing, like he has more going on.
Yeah, you don't set up that kind of thing in that unless you pay off for it real hard. Like the line that he says in there is a prime example where he says, like I could tell you the story word for word. He went and he wrote all his books later
Yep.
for Gus. Like there's a direct correlation for most of the things that they lay down.
See, and I think the whole entire point of giving his character that over-exaggerated intelligence, despite being just a janitor, is a way to explain how he was able to take care of Gus and how he was able to do all of those things. Like I don't think it's so much a foreshadow as an explanation of what we've seen.
Right.
Where did he get the syringe things?
So,
We haven't seen that part yet.
Yeah, we hadn't seen that part yet, which is very interesting. Obviously, a little bit of time had passed since when she gave him Gus, and he makes it to the Montana forest.
To Yellowstone.
To Yellowstone, that's right.
I think that's what they called it back before Yellowstone was Yellowstone, the Montana forest.
Seeing as Montana wasn't a state, I don't think so.
So yeah, it's a little bit of time has passed, enough to the point where the world has gone haywire.
The world's gone 2019.
Obviously, someone let whatever it was that she was doing as an experiment or working on the micro she was working on out, and it infected people and started creating hybrids. Now, are we under the assumption that it's supposed to be one or the other?
Yes.
The experiment was supposed to do either you do the right thing and you make babies that are hybrids with animals, or you do the wrong thing and everybody gets sick.
Switch that around. Do the right thing, you get the virus, which means you can get antibodies and a vaccine. Or you do the wrong thing and you end up with a hybrid. The hybrid was the unintended consequence, not the intended consequence.
But then
I'll take this one. But like, so Mitch, in this situation, that would be that the undesirable outcome had a thing that you still liked.
okay. But if they did release the virus, then we have a bunch of people that are dead.
Yes.
I think that's
The
someone
virus-
that's the thing that she said would happen.
Yeah, the virus isn't supposed to be released. So the way that you develop new vaccines frequently is you have to first discover and develop the virus to then be able to combat it. So you're trying to basically predict what Mother Nature is going to do in the future. And
Yeah.
so you have to have virus to get a vaccine.
Before COVID stuff happened, there are people like on videos talking about where the next like big virus thing was going to come from, and it was 100% talking about bats. It's like people track this stuff to be like essentially like virus futurists.
Yeah. Which is why she was saying that if it got out, if it fell into the wrong hands, it would kill ungodly amounts of people because the virus would be that deadly.
You know, this brings up a new headcanon for me, and the hybrids are the result of the people taking ivermectin to cure themselves of the sick.
I mean, it is. People are getting mostly horse ivermectin, so.
So we find out that Birdie and Pubba met in a bar, and they did work together, or at least worked in the same building.
Birdie met
janitor and a
Pubba in a
scientist.
bar.
Yes.
Pubba met Birdie on the job.
He liked her already.
Oh, okay.
And he was
Yeah, 'cause
probably
there was a-
drawing her.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
definitely
100%.
drawing her.
But no, a scientist and a janitor walk into a bar.
That's right. Did you
Cause the apocalypse.
Did you get a good look at Pubba's drawings, or is it just Jeff Lemire's drawings?
They did not look like the drawings from the comics to me.
Okay.
At least not from what I know of the art style. If there's other parts in there where they're supposed to have a drawing of somebody and that's the drawing from there, couldn't say. But it didn't look like the drawings from Sweet Tooth.
So they talk to each other for the first time in a bar, and they hit it off. They make it back to Birdie's house. They're about to kiss. and her phone rings. She finds out that the government has come to start taking her experiment away, taking all this the work that she's done.
Shut it down.
Shut it down.
I wish that kind of notification came in for that. Like, that's not how that would go in most situations.
Well, the only reason she got the information is because Judy was there.
And
when it happened.
That's true.
She just happened to be there, and she also put the baby Gus into a closet, as what she said. That's another thing that's about the show. A lot of things just are too coincidental. Like, I know that's just kind of comic books, I guess, but the one picture that they have of Birdie is Red Rocks, which also happens to be in Colorado. But so is Fort Smith, where she actually worked, and then Goss Grove, where she actually lived.
You do realize that most of the pictures you take are from places you visit, and most of the places you visit are near where you live.
I mean, I have pictures from us when we were in Las Vegas. That's 6 hours away from here driving.
4.5.
I'd say it's both. You have either a bunch of pictures from home or a bunch of pictures from elsewhere.
And if you're a full-time state-of-the-art virologist, you're probably not having lots of time to go on distant vacation.
But all they had was a picture where the word said Birdie on it, and that's not even her real name. So they had to do a reverse image search to find her and get all that information. And
I don't think that would have worked
Colorado, and they put in Red Rocks, Colorado, which wasn't even the right place.
I don't think that would have worked out well at all. That's one of the most unbelievable things in the whole thing. The idea of if this series happened in like the 70s or 80s and someone else took that picture, that could have 100% been the way that worked. Because we've all seen those family photo albums where the back of the photo has the most nondescript, like it has the most like loose description of what's actually in the picture.
No,
I have 2 steamer trunks full of those exact photos.
Yeah.
Here's the solution to this. It turns out that after society collapsed, then all of the servers from like those Russian companies, they were stealing your face information with like Snapchat and like all these other like face swapping type things. Like they just had this database of like all these faces. So they just put the picture in, scanned it until they found the match, and they're like, okay, this is her. And this is all of her data from like her iPhone.
In this situation, the thing that you're saying is basically there's a version of that picture of Birdie where she's in that Red Rocks picture and she's also singing the Numa Numa song and dancing. That got brought to life. Like saw a couple months ago.
It's got the animated like dog tongue and ears that kind of like flops out.
And then so they rush back to Fort Smith and they go and find Gus. And you find out that neither one of them is actually his parent, so to speak, not biologically at least. Or I guess they could have used Birdie's egg, but we don't know that yet.
Except they were using chicken eggs.
No, I just like
that's the part that I had to struggle with. I was like, how do you get chicken eggs to?
I just assume
give you a deer human hybrid.
I assume they just went and did human experiments. Like, they just haven't gotten to that part yet.
Yeah, like something happened and something overtook something else in an unintentional way, and it was supposed to like die in a petri dish as a collection of cells no bigger than a centimeter, and then something changed. I will say, however, I like the Birdie's egg pun. Unintentional.
What's not intentional? If she decides that she has to destroy all of her research before anybody else can get to it. So Gus has to go off with Pubba. And, that's the last time she sees the two of them. We get to Birdie's house in present time with Sweet Tooth, Big Man, and Bear. And Judy is living there. She is the only one that lives in the town. Smoke is conveniently coming from the house that they need to go to, and she says, hey, Birdie isn't here anymore. She went off looking for you 10 years ago. Haven't heard from her since, but the night that I showed up here, she nursed me back to health, essentially because people came in, ransacked the house, and almost killed me. She then gives him a key to the attic. The attic has all the information of like he is not a traditionally born child, and
It was in like two boxes or whatever. The rest of the stuff pretty standard attic
Yeah.
fare. And so I don't know how the hell they got to these 2 boxes. I would have looked around and been like, wow, I don't need a set of Encyclopedia Britannicas. Like whatever.
And yes, and also she had the 2 boxes full of like hard copies of stuff, which I would at this time I would not have any hard copies of stuff. It just it would have been a hard drive, external hard drive sitting there, and people would be like, "What do I do with this?" And I don't know.
That and then like the report was like artfully put together. Like there was like indents for pictures into the columns and stuff, and like a graph was jutting into the text. Who did this?
Judy.
Some overzealous, like an overzealous person who didn't want to be doing this job, but like is real good with the Microsoft Office suite. Like, what is this?
Hey, those people with art degrees have to do something, you know.
I embody this statement.
Well, I mean, my office keeps a paper copy of everything.
Well, you guys are required to, right?
Legally, no.
Interesting.
But most in my field do.
It's just the old-fashioned way.
Now everything is
it
also
makes sense.
digital, but it's also hard copy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mitch, when you were going to mention that you didn't like the contrivances of things just being a little too convenient, I did think that for a split second when Birdie invites Pubba for some hot chocolate, and she mentions that she has quite the sweet tooth.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, eh.
Yeah.
She said the thing.
When she said
Jeffords calls him Sweet Tooth over and over.
I know I'm with you guys on this one because like I talked about it before, but at the end of Game of Thrones, where he sits down and he writes the book, The Song of Ice and Fire, I was like, oh fuck off. You have to earn that kind of thing. And
Lord of the Rings did it. Lord of the Rings did it too.
They earned it.
Okay.
They earned it.
I mean, when you sit down and you watch episode 6 and, you know, Luke sits down to write Star Wars, like it's earned there too.
You know, there was this is completely tangential, but Luke writes Star Wars. Actually, no. If Luke wrote down the story, it would have been called The Star Wars from the Journal of the Wills, written by Mace Bendu.
Wow.
Man.
That would have been the in-canon version of that story. No, there was a movie I remember that really pissed me off because it wasn't a particularly good movie. It was with Clive Owen and Jennifer Aniston, and it was called Derailed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the only reason it was called that was because there's just a couple of scenes that take place in like a subway or something or a metro. And within the story, a different character writes like the story within the story, but he calls it sidetracked, which makes more sense with the overall story. But I feel like somebody along the lines, like the studio person was like, sidetrack sounds dumb. We'll call it derailed. That sounds more exciting. There's no derailment. This literally makes more sense to like call it sidetracked because that's kind of more of what happens, and it makes sense. But it just does. It's stupid. I hate it. I don't even remember.
Studio notes are awful.
So you're saying that we're going at the end of this next episode, Bear's going to sit down and there's going to be a book called Sweet Tooth, or did Pubba write that book already?
He already has it. Yeah, he drew it with his little kid drawings that he did. He fulfilled his dream after all.
I hope not.
So, Steven, what were you about to say?
Oh, no, I was going to do another tangent thing about studio notes being awful. I found out one about Superman Returns this week that I cannot believe.
Okay.
I want to hear this.
There was a production note thing where it had to have been in the scripting phase, but they said some high up person and all the studios had this idea that Superman would lose his cape, and for half of the movie he couldn't fly.
Because it was the cape that makes him fly.
Yeah.
That sounds like a holdover from the Kevin Smith version.
Yeah, because no capes and no flying.
It's bad.
As we see that we can go off on tangents because there's not a lot in this episode. It's the filler episodes. It's the backstory episode. It's to get us.
You know what, though?
Final episode.
This episode, though. Oh yeah, penultimate episode. Yay! I said the word. So this one. Yeah. I actually thought, at least so far, this has been my favorite episode. Most of the time, I'm browsing my phone or like kind of like barely at attention, but I was like on edge on this one, like wanting to see what happened, and the dynamic between Birdie and Pubba to me was actually kind of appealing. I like that whole thing. It's just I was kind of into it now. I'm like, okay, this is the show I want to see.
I just know that there is no way they are going to satisfactorily wrap this up in the next episode.
No, because we still need to meet Amy at the zoo and cross over with Dr. Sings and Dr. our General Abbott.
And find a cure
General
to
Abbott,
the
yeah.
sick. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not going to happen.
That's not happening. That's
No.
for damn sure.
Yeah, no. And we know that there's a season 2 coming, so I don't believe we're going to get a cliffhanger.
Garbage.
Yeah, it's going to be unsatisfactory for sure. Like,
All
if
I
there's
want is
no,
to see Bobby one more time. That's it, guys. That's all I need.
I could do without Bobby.
I feel like you're gonna see like a piece of apparel that reminds you of Bobby before you get to see Bobby again. Unfortunately,
No.
No, you know what Bobby looks like? He looks like one of those. What is the name of that kids book series?
it's like Alvin and the Chipmunks.
I
No.
was gonna say, he looks like he looks like the gopher from Caddyshack.
Yeah, he does. But no, there's that kids book series. I think it's called Critters or something.
Oh, yeah.
That's what Bobby looks like.
They're like a corollary to the Berenstain Bears.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Except
not
that they're like-
corollary,
they're-
what's it, contemporary?
yeah, basically. And that's
Yeah,
what
Little
Bobby
Critters.
reminded me of. Little Critters, yeah, something like that.
I love those books so much.
And that's what this is basically. It's it's a kid's story being passed off as a comic book that is now being adapted into live action Netflix original.
I mean, it's a little bit darker though than for a kid story.
Hey, some kid stories are
Read some
dark.
kid story.
Yeah.
Well, no, like a kid story witten now.
Yeah,
We're not talking about like a kid story from back when. Like Rumpelstiltskin got into some shit.
Yeah, this isn't a Brothers Grimm, but close enough.
No, I don't know. I'm at a spot right now where I'm as much as I like to know the background details of things, the inner workings of this or that, knowing that there's a second season coming or any real world details paired with the series has really taken a lot of the fun out of a lot of series. Because a series that might have surprised you in a different time, because you're like, you get to the end of the season, you're like, how are they going to wrap this up? Oh, they didn't. Oh, they're getting a season 2. Okay. Is now like, well, now we know that they're not going to wrap this up. I guess we'll have to wait till season 2. It's less fun. I'm kind of enjoying the week to week kind of thing that's happening with some TV shows. And I hope we get to more of a spot where people are able to play some of the information a little closer to the vest with some of those shows that are coming out week to week.
that's fair. Any predictions going into the last episode other than we're not going to be satisfied?
I'll never be satisfied.
I hope that if they have to sacrifice a hybrid to save Mrs. Singh, I'd be okay with it being Bobby.
Wow.
It probably would be Bobby. Honestly, it would probably be Bobby or one of the other kids that got away with Pigtail. But
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be one of the other kids. They didn't make us care about them. We just got Bobby's fugly ass.
So bizarre.
I don't think we're going to even get to that stage. I think the episode's going to end with them all ending up in the same place. And that'll be the end.
Like it's like a
gonna
Reese's
get
peanut
zero
butter commercial
resolutions.
situation. You got some of your pigtail in my sweet tooth, some of my sweet tooth in your pigtail.
I mean, in a show that's about geneticists and stuff like that, you might want to be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
They're gonna CRISPR them up together.
Oh.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I don't condone this type of thought path, but some of those hybrids probably taste good.
Yikes. Yikes.
I don't think. Well, if we're keeping in line with the closest thing that we have to human flesh being pigs, then yeah, no, humans probably taste pretty good.
All right, this took a real dark turn.
I blame Doctor Who or Doctor Strange.
If you take anything away from today's episode, it's that Bobby's the best character of this whole TV show, and bacon is delicious.
Well, there you go.
And it's okay if you steal a picture here and there.
Nope.
No,
Don't
it
do
is
that one.
not. It is really
Yep.
not. It is not okay. It is unacceptable. Not only is it theft, it's also creepy. Don't do that.
It's first and foremost creepy, then theft.
I also feel like the actor who plays Sweet Tooth like hit a growth spurt while filming this, and it's really apparent in this episode.
Yeah, I could see that.
Kids do that.
Maybe he I'm not trying to like nitpick a kid's acting ability because I would have been terrible through and through at acting, but he gave a bit of his like worst acting in this episode
Which part?
when he said like the "You're not my dad."
Oh,
The tantrum.
It was pretty rough.
yeah, that's not usually easy to pull off. So
I think it was more the dialogue.
That's fair. It wasn't great.
all right. Well, if you want to talk to me about more of this show or anything else that we talked about this episode, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at Mitchipedia GEM. GEM stands for Geek Elite Media. Stephen, where can people find you online?
I'm not on social media still at this point. Like I'm trying to figure my life out. But other than that, I go check out Geek Elite on Twitter.
John?
You can hit me up on Twitter. I am at MagicBollocks. Send me some of your cringe creeper stories.
No, we do not need to be sharing those.
Going to him.
But, like in this situation,
Don't
you're
wanna
basically
encourage
starting
that.
a support group for like no, we're all like each other.
Yes, being creepy is not against the law, even if being creepy makes you break the law sometimes.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm glad you still related them. That's good.
And Elizabeth?
You can find me with the rest of Geek Elite Media at Geek Elite Media and our Facebook page /Geek Elite Media.
Check out our website, geekelitemedia.com, for archived episodes of this podcast and other podcasts on our network. Go to our Patreon, patreon.com/geekelitemedia, for exclusive material that you can only get if you're one of our patrons. And whatever podcatcher you use to listen to us, please rate and review us. It helps spread the word of our network. But until next time, this is the Geeks Watch on the Geek Elite Media Network, saying always remember to geek out.
Geek out.
This concludes our broadcast. Beep.